How's it going, everybody? This is Alex Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
How's it going, Will?
Oh, it's going, man. It's going.
Another week.
What a fucking
Welcome to
night.
Story of the Fight. Welcome to Story of the Fight. So another week of Story of the Fight. I'm Ramiro. I go by Miro. Here with my boy Will. So, man, another interesting week of fights. Definitely want to cover them all. Before we get going, though, did want to cover the fact that YouTube, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment. It goes a long way. If you like any of the content we're putting out there. We're also on Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and of course, Apple Podcasts as well. So give us a listen. Again, subscribe. Helps us out a lot. That being said, Will, any moment of silence this week?
Yeah, we got a few. I'm going to break this into 2 moments of silence.
Ooh, this is a first?
Yeah, it's a first. For this card, Ben Rothwell was supposed to be on this, fighting Felipe Lins. Ricardo Ramos was supposed to fight Zubairo Tahugov. Tahugov injured his knee. I guess he just had to have surgery on it. He's going to be out for like 4 months. Don Madge, it's a bummer. Don Madge was supposed to fight Guram Kutateladze, which is, I'm so excited to see him fight again, but apparently he also had a knee injury. So that fight got canceled. Dan Ige originally was slated to fight Ryan Hall, the Wizard, which would have been cool to see because he is a unicorn and we never get to see him fight.
Yeah.
And that would have been cool. And then the biggest one, obviously, is Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev. Chimaev is having whatever issues he's having with his COVID symptoms. Retired. Dana says he's not retired. Then he says he's not retired. There might have been some pressure from a mob leader of a country. All this stuff, but the fight didn't happen.
He's like, remember, you're representing an entire country. And Khamzat's like, okay, I'm not retired.
Yeah. An interesting one, Ray Rodriguez was supposed to fight Erwin Rivera. And Rivera was arrested.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Don't really know what happened there. Not going to talk about it because I don't know the details. So that's our moment of silence for this card. Second moment of silence, a more serious moment of silence. Marvelous Marvin Hagler died last night. Or apparently, I don't know when he died, if it was yesterday or if that's just when it was announced that he passed away, but dude was a legend, middleweight champion for like 7 years.
At the
possibly one of the greatest fights in boxing history.
Hagler Hearns?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Definitely lost in the fighting community. I think he was only 66, too.
Dude, he's like 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks younger than my dad. So that's a bummer.
So prayers going out to his family, man. It's a huge loss again.
Yeah,
I'm
big
sure
loss.
To the family, but the fighting community. So.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows what? I don't think they've said what happened, but yeah, it's just a bummer, man. Because the guy, it sucks when you lose people like this because they're people who you watch, especially like growing up, right? You watch them and they're like indestructible. So nobody is, right? But man, if anybody embodied indestructible, it's Marvin Hagler,
Yeah, that's so true. We look up to a lot of these folks, and it's a reminder that we're all just human, right?
Yeah.
We're all just human, but we look up to them, and they're larger than life, especially when we're growing up watching them on TV. And again, this is a reminder. We're all human, and it also kind of puts us at grips with our own mortality, too, which I think is what is a little scary. But, man, yeah, good moment of silence, Will. Good moment of silence this week.
Yeah, gotta pay respect,
For sure. That being said, we do have some fights to talk about that did go down.
Yeah, and real quick, if fights are happening and you guys want people to talk to, I know it's the reason we started doing this is because me and Ramiro used to always talk about fights and stuff. But it's kind of hard to find people who you can actually like have good conversations about the fights and everything with. So we have a Facebook group that you can chime in and stuff while the fights are happening if you want to talk about what's going on and you just want to have more back and forth. Obviously, you can comment on YouTube and we'll pretty much respond to everybody that's commenting right now. But If you want to be talking during the fights, check out the Facebook group.
It's MMA Talk Community by Story of the Fight podcast.
Yeah, we should have a link in the description too.
For sure.
And then we did just post an interview with Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy. So definitely check that out because it's by far, I think that was the most fun I've had since we started doing this. It was such a fun interview, such a cool guy. So check that out.
Yeah, everybody has listened to it so far has a lot of really good things to say about it. So
yeah,
for sure,
it was
check
fun.
it out.
It was
Now,
fun.
the first fight, Semelsberger versus Witt. I know this is something you wanted to cover. It was a quick fight, so I'll let you go ahead and cover the 16 seconds there.
Yeah, 16 seconds, right? And this, everybody's the reason why I talk about it is it got a performance of the night bonus, but then on top of that, everybody's talking about how the calf kick. It's too OP. You can't really check it. You have to evade it. All this stuff, right? Right hand, right straight.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Witt got a little careless with the calf kick that he threw, and as he timed it so perfectly. As soon as he kind of leaned back a little bit, didn't have his guard up, threw the kick, popped him, dropped him. That's a wrap. So not much to talk about in that fight, but if you can time the calf kick, I mean, it's different, right? Because when it's really effective is when people like to talk about how your combo is like a sentence, right? And your strikes are like your vocabulary, right? The more complex your vocabulary is, the more complex your striking is, that all that kind of stuff. You punctuate the sentence, so your period or your exclamation point or whatever is your low kick, right? You do a crazy combo, leg kick, you're out. And that's like perfect. If you can do that for every exchange, you're phenomenal, right? You might go down as the greatest of all time, but you don't want to throw it lazy. And that's kind of what happened here. You want to mask it with some punches maybe, or maybe time it a little bit better.
Yeah, there wasn't any feints or anything leading him into the calf kick, so he definitely ended up paying for it. The only person that I can think of that probably wouldn't have to come in with combos or anything like that would probably be like Edson Barbosa.
Yeah.
Because it's so fast. But other than that, man, yeah, you're absolutely right. You got to try to mask it somehow.
Yeah, you don't throw it out there as a feeler because, man, you watch some of the gnarliest knockdowns in MMA history are from people timing leg kicks. So you gotta be careful. Can't just
so
throw it
not
out
much
there.
on that fight.
Yeah, not
the
much.
Next one, Haqparast versus Garcia, also known as Slim Gastelum. By the way, did you hear Brendan Fitzgerald when he called him Gastelum?
Did he really?
Dude, so he's going, and I swear to God, like the entire time, Haqparast's walking, I was like, dude, this is a Slim Gastelum, and he looks just like Calvin Gastelum. Yeah. And I wasn't the only one that was thinking that, obviously, because I want to say it was in the middle of the first round, and he goes, Gastelum's been getting these kicks in early in this first round, and I was
no
just like,
way.
Did he really? I swear, literally called him Gastelum. Yeah. So I was like, did I get this right, or was he talking about Gastelum earlier and I missed that? You know what I mean? But no. And then later on, I see Justin Gaethje post something that says he really called him Gastelum right now. So fantastic. So funny. But man, it was a fun fight.
This is a fun fight, and this is again commentary. Not the biggest. This. I actually really like Bisping as a commentator. And actually, honestly, dude, outside of Dan Hardy, rest in peace. He didn't die, but he's not working with the UFC anymore. But I really like Dan Hardy's commentary. But Fitzgerald, dude, I really like Fitzgerald in the booth. That guy is so professional, man. Yep. And I feel like you need somebody, at least one of the three needs to be very professional, because they get so chummy, right? We talk about it all the time, but
just a couple boys talking about some fights in front of thousands of fans.
You hear at the end of this fight, Bisping's like, "Yeah, I don't see how this could be anything but a 30-27 Haqparast." I was like, "In what way did Haqparast win the first round? There's no way." And I'm glad the judges gave it to Garcia. I think or not gave it, but gave the first round at least.
First round.
But as soon as Haqparast is crafty, man. He's so crafty. Once he starts seeing the holes, it's almost, I don't want to give him too much credit and say he kind of took the first round off to get reads. Could have, but man, his wherewithal and his combos and mixing with the body and going back up to the head and just finding all these holes and putting together these lengthy combos. Dude, once he's on, man, certain fighters get in that flow state, right? And it's like you cannot stop them. You have to do something to like earn the respect back and get them out of that flow state. And that's going to be a tough challenge against someone like Haqparast going forward.
Yeah, man. And I think it was the middle of the second round where you really see him to start turning it on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even tell the body language, right? Because he creeps in a little slowly tiptoes in, works his way out. But then in the middle of the second round, he's bouncing on his toes, man. He's in, he's out. And he had this nice move, and it was just so repetitive because Garcia kept on coming in with a high guard straight ahead at him. So Haqparast would step in, lead left, straight, or lead left elbow, and then hop back. Wait for Garcia to start walking forward again, lead left, or lead left, like over and over and over again, literally for a round and a half, all the way through to the very end.
Yeah.
And you could start seeing Garcia's right side of his face start swelling up, the bottom, like right near his eyelid. And it was just from that repetitive move over and over and over again. And you think that maybe Cub Swanson or somebody in the corner would be like, hey, dude, like, give us some head movement on the way in. You know what I mean? Maybe
he had decent head movement in the first round, but it was very it was very repetitive. It was the same head movement the whole time. There was no fake outs. It was just the same back and forth. And then eventually Haqparast got that timing and was landing almost everything he was throwing. And like you said, his footwork of being able to stay on the outside and just pull him in and then left hook, pull him in, left hand, just like you said, over and over and over again. If you did take that first round a little bit off to make reads and stuff like that, fantastic. But also Garcia hit him with a couple bombs in the first round. I think it was 2 overhand rights that you could tell changed his demeanor, made him take notice. Unfortunately, that's pretty much the most of the success that he had was that overhand right. And once he was made aware of it, I don't think he landed another big one throughout the whole rest of the fight. And this is what you look for in someone like Haqparast, right? Because he's a prospect still, technically, right? He's now on a
13-3 now,
4-fight win streak in the UFC. No, he lost to Drew Dober, which is no slouch.
Again,
right?
Drew Dober, no slouch.
Yeah, no slouch. But very promising fighter. He was supposed to fight Arman Tsarukyan, which would have been awesome to see, but it didn't happen. But what I'm getting to is we've seen this guy now, and this is what separates MMA from boxing a little bit too. He's had a couple losses, right? Which in boxing you get a few losses and you almost get
career's over. Career's over.
Dude, yeah. And whereas Haqparast gets a few losses, learns from them, comes back, and now we've seen him get physically tested in that first round.
Yeah.
That's first overhand right, and back to the commentary. Man, the commentary lately, they get so involved with their conversation that they're not talking about what's happening in the fight. And after that first big right hand, Bisping was like, oh, and then they kept talking about something else. But dude, you could see his feet. He had to dig his feet in real quick and was a little bit wobbly. Like he was hurt. And then he got cracked again by the same punch in the same round, and it wobbled him again. But still, bared through it. And then second round starts fighting his fight. And then the third round is just, at that point, it was just all Haqparast. So that's one of the things we look for, right? In somebody is dealing with adversity and coming back from it, and that's exactly what he did in this fight. Obviously, he and no disrespect to Garcia, actually looked pretty damn good. I'll be excited to watch his next fight, but it's not like he was fighting, someone like Justin Gaethje who just drops people in that division with like one shot.
Garcia had come in 12-0.
What was that?
Garcia had come in 12-0.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, put on a good fight.
A lot of people were really excited. They had to see him in there. But props to him, man. He did put up a good fight.
Yeah, what a night of kind of tough welcomes, because that was, I think, sure, that was also Garcia's debut. Some of these debut matchups in this card were fucking brutal. 2 of them.
Brutal.
This is man. You get to the UFC, you're fighting someone like Haqparast. That sucks. It's like, all right, cool, trial by fire.
He showed up well, and I think what was it, a 2 weeks notice that Garcia had? I think they said so.
Well, and props to Haqparast, because Haqparast was supposed to fight Don Madge, and Madge had visa issues, so I think originally Kutateladze was supposed to fight Madge. Kutateladze pulled out, and then Haqparast stepped in, and then Madge pulled out, and then Garcia. So it was basically both of them took short notice fights.
Props to them, man. Props to them.
And that's what you have to do, right?
Yeah,
and that's what they talked about. You with Garcia, you stay in shape just in case you get that call. Hey, take a short notice fight. Most of the people who get their debut in the UFC, it's a short notice appearance. Rarely.
We heard Landry Ward talk about it during our interview with Landry Ward. By the way, if you haven't heard that interview, it's a fun interview as well. Check it out. But where he talks about possibly wanting to go LFA next. Then he said probably Dana's Contender Series, or if I happen to get a call before that, then that's the route we go. So you're absolutely right. When the opportunity presents itself, you don't know when the opportunity is going to come up again. Yeah, you don't know if it ever will. So when it comes, man, you got to take it. Yeah,
it is, and he's so right about the LFA. I think he should definitely go to the LFA because, man, the UFC just has eyes on the LFA. So that you have to stay ready. You just have to stay ready because, I mean, this card, I didn't list all of them, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fight changes, right? Not 9 fight cancellations, but opponent changes, people withdrawing, fights being canceled. It happens all the time. So,
and not just that, but we talk about, like, let's say a Haqparast. I haven't seen what his earnings are off the last fight, but it can't be too much. So when you think about when's the next time that he's going to get a call for another matchup, if he takes this fight right now, it might give him an opportunity to fight 2 or 3 times this year. Yeah. Or if he doesn't take this fight right now, who knows when he gets another call, and does it move him back to 2 or 1 fights in the year? So you got to try to make money, man. This is the way.
You want to know one of probably the worst matchups for a UFC debut?
What?
Was back in the day in like 2004, 2005, Joe Lozon debuts against former champion Jens Pulver. Supposed to be the bounce back fight for Jens Pulver, and knocks him out in the first round.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Well, God, who was it that recently? Ricardo Lamas went up against somebody that was like their first fight debut, stepped in on like 2 days' notice. You remember who it was?
Oh, and he looked great. Who was that?
Yeah. He gave Lamas all he could handle.
Yeah, who was
that? I can't remember the name. But he had a good showing on his last fight as well.
Yeah. It was Bill Aljo.
There we go.
Yeah. There we go. Always going to be exciting,
Yeah, but again, your first fight in the UFC, and it's like, here's Ricardo Lamas. Yeah. Okay, well, take the call. Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and move on here. Now, this next fighter, somebody that's giving Song Yadong for one of the best names on
Ray Rodriguez.
UFC. Definitely not Ray Rodriguez. That'd be Rani Yahya. Yeah. Rani Yahya versus Ray Rodriguez. What'd you think of this fight?
Yep, this was one of those things, man. Reminiscent of Damian Maia, It's like, exactly what's coming. Do your best to stay away from it. And if you don't, try to survive. Rani Yahya is he'll find a way to you. If he gets to you, he'll find a way to the ground. And if he gets on the ground, he'll find a way to submit you. And Ray Rodriguez cracked him in the first exchange of the fight. Landed a big shot. Unfortunately, didn't have quite the distance management to continue that. And to keep him on the outside. I would not want to fight Rani Yahya in the small cage.
No.
Get the fuck away from me.
He's eventually going to get a clinch up against a cage, and he's eventually going to find a way to trip you, get you down. Man, the thing is, I think we talked recently about just those one-trick ponies in MMA these days, where it's just so hard for them to be successful now because everybody's so well-rounded. But when you have somebody like Damian Maia, Rani Yahya, where you know exactly what their game plan is going to be. Doesn't matter who they face. Yeah. Their game plan stays the same. I could coach that guy. I could be in his corner and be like, all right, Ronnie, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna try to get as close as possible to him. You're gonna try to take him down to the ground, and you're gonna submit him. That's his game plan every single time. And the fact that everybody knows that that's what his game plan is gonna be coming in, but they can't stop it, just goes to show again there's levels. Even though he's a one-trick pony, man, his one trick is up here.
Good. Very good.
So
he got the same
props to Rani
same
Yahya.
same head and arm choke as Islam, like Kape.
Oh yeah.
Just from half guard.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
That's gonna be
again. There's levels.
Yeah. Exactly. Nope. Not everybody's gonna be able to pull that off.
Yeah, man. So you know what? I might just try to be a coach. I'm gonna try to pick up Rani Yahya. I'm gonna try to pick up. Let's see if Habib wants to come back, and I'll just tell him, dude, just wrestle. And you got this. Habib.
Hey, go out there, show some hands, get a takedown,
and then wrestle him. Yeah, smash him. No, so you talk about boxing and how a couple wins isn't the end of the world for somebody in the MMA world. And I have a perfect example a couple losses, sorry. And you have Jan Blachowicz. That's a perfect example of somebody that would have been written off in boxing and here in MMA is now the light heavyweight world champion.
Yeah.
With the Polish power. Polish power. All right.
And
do you
also,
have anything else on Rani Yahya?
Yeah. Is it 21 now submissions in the UFC?
A ridiculous amount.
I mean, you look at his last...
think in the UFC.
Just in MMA. If you look at his last... Dude, if we go past his list of his recent wins, you got Ray Rodriguez, arm triangle, right? Head and arm choke. Yeah. His last one was Luke Sanders, heel hook. Then Russell Dwayne. I don't know how to say that last name. Sorry, dude. Arm triangle. Henry Briones, Kimura. And then a decision against Michinori Tanaka. Then an arm triangle choke against Matthew Lopez.
Hey, you think he likes that arm triangle?
Bedford. What was that?
I said, you think he likes that arm triangle choke?
I know, right? He's got a north-south choke. Very rare.
Wow.
I mean, yeah. They're probably combining with WC and stuff like that, but
I remember seeing something that they put up on the screen where they were showing most submissions in UFC history, and I want to say that Charles Oliveira,
the Bronx,
yeah, the Bronx is still up there with 14. I believe this gave Yahya 12, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. But either way, he's getting there, man. A little bit longer. He gets a few more fights in this year. He might actually be tying Charles the Bronx or passing him.
You want to know the real reality? He probably will, because
the real reality.
Yeah, because at this point, Oliveira's only fighting top 5 for the next couple years. Much harder to get those submissions, whereas Rani Yahya could potentially get a couple favorable matchups still where he's at, in the rankings. So,
and not just that, it's just overall less at bats, right?
Yeah,
so when you have a Rani Yahya that's fighting 2 to 3 times a year, and you're only fighting 1 time a year, and it's big fights, Rani Yahya's getting more at bats, so he's probably going to end up with the most submissions in UFC history here by the time he's done.
Yeah, could be.
So
could be.
All right,
very real possibility.
The next one. Now, Charles Jourdain or Charles Jourdain. Mm-hmm. Everybody pronounces it differently. That's another name where everybody was pronouncing it differently.
I think it's just Jourdain.
Throughout the night. Jourdain, and then Marcelo Rojo. I know you were really high on Rojo going into this one.
He's my boy, He's had some ups and downs in his career, but he's always been my boy. We kick it on
the weekends. He's my boy.
Yeah, dude. This I don't know how you don't award this fight of the night. Both these guys deserve $50,000 for that fight.
This was an absolute war.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome, dude. The first 2 rounds were so sick, and then it was like,
I sent you the picture. Rojo the day of, right before his fight, and then the day after, and I'll send it to Rich Casual as well, so we can put it up, so everybody can see. But dude, this guy is as tough as they come, man.
Yeah.
He took a fucking beating. Both the guys did work in there, but man, just the aftermath when you see Rojo's face is insane.
And this is the other UFC debut against a ridiculously tough opponent. Like, I know Charles Jourdain doesn't have the the crazy name on him right now, but we've talked about him before. That guy is very good, especially with his hands. Well, not even just his hands. His stand-up is fantastic. And I texted you and I texted Andrew. Shout out Andrew. Texted both you guys. Super excited for this fight. Very tough opponent to debut against. And then, man, that first round, he looked so good. He was looking so good that first round.
I thought it was such a nice display of just technical striking, man.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you always point out, Will, is how you really grade somebody's striking by the amount of work to the body that they have as well. And they both mixed it in beautifully, man. Between the low leg kicks, Jourdain's jab, just hooks to the body. It was just a nice mix back and forth between the two.
Yeah, that first round
awesome.
I had Marcelo winning. It was one of those rounds where Jourdain was showing him more tools, but he was landing the more effective strikes and he was landing the more damaging strikes in the first round. Second round, Jourdain started kind of making a little bit more headway with with all his tools, because he's out there throwing switch high kicks, like roundhouse kicks, body kicks. He's going everywhere with everything.
But it was close. It was still. I still thought it was a close round.
Yeah, and props to Jourdain's coaches, because they were telling him, man, you could be down 2-0. This could be him. He could have won those first two rounds. And you hear in the corner, he said, "I'm going to finish him this round." I was like,
so
"Fuck!"
Sick. I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Yeah,
I'm getting goosebumps.
And that third round, fucking hell, dude. Jourdain is. If he's continuing, and I'm sure he is, because the not glaring hole, but definitely his weakness is his grappling, right? Mm-hmm. That's not his strongest suit. It's clearly his striking, and his fight IQ, honestly, is fantastic. Just fantastic. He goes out there in a fight where potentially he's down 2 rounds, needs a finish, and just puts in the work to go for it. Just absolutely relentless in that third round. It was fucking crazy. I was exhausted just watching, because I'll be honest, I was watching this fight, and I like Charles Jourdain, but I was really, really rooting for Marcelo. And so going into that third, I was like, I hope he's 2 rounds up, even though I had it 1-1. And I was like, maybe he'll put it together here. And throughout the whole round, I was just like, survive just in case those first 2. And it was exhausting, even just watching somebody, hoping that they get out of that round. Dude, just no room, absolutely zero room. And maybe one of the coolest ground and pound moves I've seen since Pride.
Off the cage?
Yeah.
Showtime
awesome.
ground and pound?
Yeah, dude. It was like Anthony Pettis mixed with fucking Shogun, dude. It was so sick.
It was fantastic. But again, Rojo displayed just like ultimate toughness, man. There was a few times where he took a few shots and I was just like, oh, that's got to be it. I was like, well, no, he's still firing back. He's still surviving.
Not just that, but talking to the ref. Did you see that? When he was up against the cage on his back,
I'm good,
eating shots. He was like, I'm fine. Just like, do not, this is my fucking debut. Do not take this from me,
Oh, what a savage, man. What a savage.
What a great fight.
You also heard Jourdain's corner yell out, you got to finish him.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love it when you hear something yelled out of the corner, and then the fighter, like, because Jourdain, it's like, he was like, fuck, they're right. And he just,
gotta go
another
for it.
gear, and he just continues emptying the tank, everything he has, emptying the tank, man. And then finally, that last body shot that Rojo took, and he just collapsed after that. I was like, oh, man. He just took so much damage there. So much damage.
It was brutal. And
I don't think it was a late stoppage, though.
It was fantastic.
I don't think it was late stoppage.
Yeah.
It was great.
Who refed that fight?
Ref work. Probably not Herb Dean, but
was it Smith? It was. Mark Smith's the best right now. Nah. Where the fuck was my boy? Why wasn't he there?
I don't know, man. You got to hit him up and see what happened.
I know. Where you at? Get in there.
Yeah.
Could have used you last night.
Great reffing work. And Jourdain, man, he's again, we've talked about it before. I think everybody got to see a little bit more of what we've been seeing and him showcase some of his skills. Yeah. And it was a good opponent for him, though. Somebody that was willing to stand and trade. So,
fantastic. I cannot believe they didn't get fight of the night, because honestly, dude, this is, I know we're just in March, right? But we still have a short list of fight of the year contenders. But dude, put this one on there. Honestly, I don't know if it's gonna win, right? We've seen.
It didn't even win fight of the night.
That's crazy to me.
It is.
Imagine if this year's is, because let's be honest, if nothing passes that fight as fight of the year, it'd be a pretty lackluster year, right?
Yeah.
But imagine a fight winning fight of the year and didn't even win fight.
Didn't win fight of the night. That'd be hilarious.
Dude, this fight was fucking awesome, man. It's crazy to me that they didn't. These guys deserve some extra cash for that, man. Because you know, Marcelo Rojo's not making a ton of money right now. You know.
No.
There's no way he's making more than There's no way that he got paid more than $50,000 for that fight.
At least they're covering his medical bills, though.
It's true. Yeah, hopefully he had some lingering issues and injuries that he could say happened in the fight. You know, get those taken care of because, man, fucking tough debut, man. I want to see him get a layup, dude. You know, I want to see that celebration in the UFC.
The T-Rex celebration.
Yeah, the Velociraptors. Fucking that's so sick, dude.
All right, man. So we'll move on to the next fight here. Hill versus Yoder. This is a rematch. Now, going into this, the commentators were like, we're talking to Yoder, and Yoder said it's night and day, her skill set from the first time they fought to right now. And in my head, I was like,
very apparent.
But you know who else has also improved a lot? Hill.
She's improved so much,
man. She's so underrated.
Yeah.
She went into this fight, I think, ranked 12th. And taking a look at the division, I still think she should be ranked higher than a lot of those girls. But Angela Hill is legit, man.
Yeah.
She's no joke. So going into this fight, I figured this should be somewhat of a layup for Angela Hill. And dude, her unorthodox movement, so good.
And her timing, dude. She disrupts her own timing, so you can't ever really get a read on her. She's doing a really good job.
This is the best I had seen her look in a long time. And I'm glad somebody called it out, but I want to say it was Fitzgerald or maybe it was Bisping. They're like, that was very Dominic Cruz-esque. Because I was thinking that the entire time when she was like down, up, like left, right, like
she's trained a lot with Dominic
shots
Cruz.
from different angles. Yeah, so dude, she looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And
dude, some
Yoder,
of those when she, I think it was the end of the second round. It might have been in the third round when she was trying to go for the finish with those knees to the body up against the cage.
Oh,
I was like,
gnarly.
What the fuck? And props to Yoder, bro. Those were heavy, dude. And it was just repeatedly. She just fucking.
Well,
so
it was
brutal.
in that second too, where Hill came in with a straight left to the liver, and you see Yoder kind of like hunch over a little bit, elbow drops, just trying
and that's
to protect
why
it.
she was,
And so she went back against the body with another punch. You saw her do it again up against the cage. So she was like, all right, let me get some of these Muay Thai knees in real quick. It was probably like 3 or 4 straight before Yoder's like, all right, I'm going to eat this one, but let me catch one of these and at least drop
and then take you down,
Yeah.
Well, she was just putting so much into it, man. And even Bisping said, he's like, she went a little too hard with those knees trying to go for the finish, but I'll be honest, I would have done the same thing in that position. Because you have someone covering up who's clearly just hurt him to the body, and you just want to rip it and just get the finish, but couldn't get it, unfortunately. But man, what a dominant performance.
Super dominant performance. But this was another fun fight. You know, I was
I love this division.
Looking through a couple of the MMA pages, and like we mentioned earlier, MMA Talk Community by Story of the Fight on Facebook. But there's another one I was on, and somebody was like, dude, this card's going to suck.
This card was so stacked.
It doesn't have any big name fighters except for Edwards. And I was like, man, but so I went on there and I just responded, and I was like, dude, Manel Cap's on there. You know, we got Ige on there.
Started, bro.
Angela Hill's on there. Like it just had
Darren the Dentist.
So many good fights. Eryk Anders.
Yeah, it was a great card.
There were so many good fighters on the card, and I'm just like, dude, why don't people appreciate if there's no Conor McGregor, if there's no Izzy, if there's no John Jones on top? They're like, I don't know about this card, man.
I know.
This card was stacked. It's such a fun card. And it delivered. Overall, it delivered.
Yeah. There was a couple letdowns, right? But overall, the card was fantastic.
Yeah, dude, I mean,
there was a certain point where this card just started rolling through. And it was like, all right, on to the next one. Let's keep it going.
And props to the UFC for not having me wait fucking 30 minutes between the fight when one was over early.
I know.
Like, seriously, like, this is how it should be.
Yeah.
Let's get the fighters ready. Fights
also,
over early.
I like the main card starting at 5 in the past over here in California. I like that more than 7. I'm an early. I like waking up early. You know, I like falling asleep. You know?
Yeah, except for last night.
I stayed up later, but I mean,
no, but yeah,
you know what I mean. I like it when it starts at 5. It feels good.
Same here. All right, the next fight. This is probably one of the ones that you say was somewhat of a letdown. While it was going though, this fight was swinging and banging, clicking and clacking all the way through. Eryk Anders versus Darren Stewart. So on my picks for the night, by the way, my picks, I probably finished 50-50. Not the best night in picks, but I had picked your boy Eryk Anders for this fight.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some folks that are high on Darren Stewart. I'm not saying he's not good, but I still think that he hasn't reached that next level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Eryk Anders is one of those power punchers that I figured was going to be able to hurt Darren Stewart and hurt him early. So it started happening, and I was like, dude, I envisioned this.
Yeah.
Just like Holly told Sousa, he's like, I had a dream about this.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately got stopped early.
Dude, back-to-back cards is crazy for illegal knees to stop fights. Dude, and this is also another spot where Mark Smith and people like Mark Smith and Herzog are becoming this new echelon of the standard for refs, because Herb Dean, man, just looks, I don't know, just lately he just looks so like unamused with what's going on and just not like focused and like present. Like, I get it's not his job to tell Eryk Anders that, hey, his knee's down, right? But he should have. When someone's going in on a kill like that, this is way more excusable than the Piotr Jan one. Way more, because dude, he was trying to get the finish. It was like 30 seconds of him just putting a beat down on somebody, trying to get a finish. He has that tunnel vision, I'm sure, of just hit this guy as many times as I can, as hard as I can with whatever's going to work. His knee's down. And there was a part before that. There was a part right before that where Darren's knee was down, and it looked like he was about to knee him, and then he didn't. And then he got up, hit him a couple more times, dropped to a knee. It looked like he was going to do it, and then he did it. Herb should have been recognizing that and been saying, hey, because his job is not to let the fight play out, right? His job is to protect the fighters. So I'm not saying he should have warned Eryk Anders so that he didn't throw the illegal knee and didn't get DQ'd. He should have said, don't throw, hey, he's down. No knees, he's down, to protect fucking Stewart. Yeah. You know, absolutely. So,
and quite honestly, this fight probably could have been stopped a little bit earlier too, because
probably
Anders landed a left right to temple.
Yeah.
And this was after Stewart had already stood back up once and survived the first barrage, but then he dropped him again, and when he dropped him, he fell into the turtle position.
Yeah.
And
he could have stopped it, yeah.
He could have stopped it because he didn't get on his back. He didn't try to pull him in his guard. He didn't do anything other than just turtle up and try to cover his head. Anders jumps on the side and starts trying to hit him from the side. And that's a point where you see that body language. And you say, okay, this fighter's probably not going to recover from this and stop the fight at that point, right? It's all in hindsight, but...
And then, you know, it's even better in hindsight. Let's just change the rule.
Yep.
Let's just let these fucking knees happen, because he's fine. Aljamain Sterling is fine right now. It's not like these knees and these kicks to the ground are killing people and doing this crazy damage. Let's just let it happen.
You know what Stewart is probably going to have more long-term damage from is going to be from him in the turtle position, taking 5 to 6 fists to the temple in a row, than the one knee that, by the way, was partially blocked.
Yeah, partially blocked, right? But still, it's still fucked, you know?
Oh, for sure. But when you take a look at the knee that Aljo took, that was a clean knee to the temple.
Yeah,
and you even see Aljo's head
worse.
like bounce
it was definitely
back
worse.
like a bobblehead.
But what sucks even more, and this isn't the greatest point to die on, right? But if this were Pride, that's a highlight reel win for Eryk Anders.
Pride never died, dude.
Pride never die. I still watch highlights and fights of Shogun landing these crazy soccer kicks, all these knees to the ground, Randleman kneeing people in the head on the ground from the north-south, right, of the sprawl position. And they're fucking awesome highlights. And all those guys are fine.
I mean, Shogun,
their careers didn't end in...
Shogun's still doing the damn thing.
Yeah. So it sucks because why are we okay with wheel kicks and flying knees on people shooting takedowns and all these crazy, crazy brutal strikes? Oh, but once the knee's down, too dangerous. Get the fuck out of here with that, dude. That's a fantastic win for Eryk Anders. He broke the rules. It shouldn't be a win. The rules are the rules. But that's a highlight reel knockout, in my opinion. You know, it sucks. But you could argue, right, that Darren Stewart is a highlight reel knockout because Darren Stewart was on his knee knowing I can't get kneed here, and that's why he was there.
Exactly.
But that shouldn't be part of the game.
Stewart probably wouldn't have put himself in that position.
He was fucked up. He probably still would have, but...
Well, the thing is that when he got in that position, he stayed in that position for an extended period of time, because you even see Anders kind of like hesitate a little bit, and then he's like, I'm going to knee him. And he kneed him. Yeah. Where like Stewart probably thought, let me stall a little bit here, right? Let me put my hand up because I'll be able to block a couple of these punches at least. Yeah. And try to gather myself again.
You know what? You know what we were robbed of last night?
What is that?
Because of this rule set? When Jourdain jumped off the cage to hop around him and then land that hammer fist, he could have jumped on the cage because he was this close to stomping his face when he landed. Imagine if that was the finish. Imagine if he jumped off the cage and fucking head stomped him and that was the finish. Bro, what are we doing here? Why don't we want that? That's fucking awesome. That would have went down as one of the greatest finishes of the UFC history if that was allowed. Would have been fucking insane. But whatever. All
right, man. Do we have anything else on that one?
Did you see Piotr Jan's tweet about the fight?
Oh no, what did it say?
Because Eryk Anders, after Piotr Jan kneed Aljamain Sterling, he tweeted, "Jan playing by pride rules." This is the pettiest thing. This Piotr No Mercy Jan needs to be switched to Petty Piotr Jan, because he went back and retweeted that with a facepalm when Eryk Anders kneed Darren Stewart.
Nice.
It's so petty, dude.
Petty Piotr Jan.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm gonna call him that from now on.
All right, so the next one, Matheus Nicolau versus your boy Manel Kape. This dude, by the way, messed up my parlay.
Your parlay was fucked regardless.
Thanks, Martinez. We'll cover that one later.
Yeah.
But yeah. Manel Kape, dude.
Hold on.
He's got the skill sets.
Hold on. Before, I don't want to... let me go first on this one.
All right.
Fuck this fight. And fuck all these fans who are saying, I feel like this fight was more Manel versus Kape. And he's really fighting himself and he really needs to do more and all this stuff. What the fuck fight were you watching? He lost the first round. The narrative going into this fight is he lost his first fight against a very tough opponent because he was complacent with his striking and his volume wasn't there, right? He was coasting a little bit because in his mind, he was dodging pretty much everything that was coming his way and landing his pot shots. Problem is, he wasn't very active on the offense. He was very much countering the whole time. Never got a finish. Go to the aggressor, right? He learns from that. But because of that, the narrative, and he has so much hype on him that all these people want to shit on the hype train, right? Because fucking people want to be counterculture, right? And they're like, oh, I don't think he's all that, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, his volume, he gets complacent. He needs to do more in there. He has all these skills. He needs to do more. And then so after that first round, they're like, oh, here we go again. This is another one of him not doing much. Dude, he's fighting another man. There's another man putting a game plan in there as well. You know, how about we just give props to Nicolau for winning that first round? It was a fantastic round by him. Second round, Manel Kape comes out, makes the adjustments, clearly won the second round.
Easy.
He fucked him up in the second round.
Clearest round.
If everybody's still saying it's a mental thing for Manel Kape, the reason he lost his fight, it's a mental thing. He wasn't doing enough, all this stuff. Watch that second round. Because what else are you supposed to do? He didn't get the finish. So because he didn't get the finish, that means he's still complacent and he's still on the back pedal. Like, dude, he was going for it. He was landing massive combos. His hand speed was looking fantastic. He was slipping stuff. He was in the center of the cage the whole time. Nicolau couldn't shoot on him because he was defending all the takedowns. His distance management was fantastic. Nicolau was dead in water in the second round. But because he didn't get the finish, and because he ends up losing the fight, everyone's saying, oh, is this another one? Manel Kape, all these mental things. He needs to be putting it more together. Fuck you, dude. He's fighting another man in there. He put it on him in the second round. Third round comes. Hold on. Third round comes. Very close round. Nicolau makes the adjustments. First round, Nicolau, easy. Manel Kape makes the adjustments, takes the second round, beats him up. Third round, back again. Nicolau makes the adjustments, is landing more with volume, taking the center of the stage, landing his shots. Manel Kape, I think, got a little bit, especially in the first half of that round. Not only did he go very hard in the second round, but it seemed like the momentum change was Manel Kape, and he was going to just put out his show and do his whole thing, and Nicolau was going to be dead in the water with just the momentum that he had. Nicolau, I'm not going to ever shit on Manel Kape for the first half of this third round, because Nicolau is the one that did great, and it was great here. That's his greatness. It doesn't have to be Manel's shortcomings. It's Nicolau's greatness. He, after that second round, said, holy shit, momentum's changing right now. I just got ran through in that second round. I need to do something, earn the respect, take the center of the stage, and impose my will now. That's what he does. The first half of that round was close, right? It wasn't like a one-sided beatdown, but Nicolau was winning the first half of that round. He was landing more. He was pressuring more. Manel Kape seemed like he was almost taken back by how aggressive he was being. Then Manel Kape, literally like 3 minutes into the round, Manel Kape starts putting the pressure back on him, making the reads, landing his big shots. And then with like a minute left in the round, they show the stats. And the stats aren't everything, and especially live, they're not everything. I haven't gone back and looked at the stats, but third round significant strikes, 25 Kape, 24 Nicolau. The last minute, all Kape. He lands a massive knee as Nicolau's coming in, lands a big knee, takes him back, lands another knee to the body, a big knee to the body, all within that last minute, where supposedly it was even up until that point. He lands the more damaging strikes of the round. I don't know final numbers, I don't know what it looks like, but he clearly did the most damage there. It was close up until that minute. That last minute, it was all Manel Kape. I don't know how the fuck these judges, one judge scored it 29-28 Kape. I thought that was the clearest decision possible. Yes, the third round was competitive, but when we look at the first half was Nicolau, second half was Kape. I don't even think that's objectable. I think that's so cut and dry. And then we look at the big knee at the end. It was the biggest strike of the whole round, arguably the whole fight. How do you not give that to Kape? Two judges give it to Nicolau that third round, so he wins by 29-28. How about this? The media scores, all the journalists, is let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 media members, which by the way is all of them that scored this fight. Every single one had it 29-28 Kape. And now the narrative is, oh, this guy who's supposed to be this superstar, who's super talented, all this stuff, is now 0-2 in the UFC to start his UFC run. It's so fucked up, man, because that's affecting how this guy's getting paid in the future. You know what I mean? He just lost half of his check on a fight that he won that I thought was so clear. It wasn't like a one-sided beat down the whole fight. That's not why it was clear. But when you break down round by round scoring, it was so clear that he won this fight. And you're taking away, dude, you're potentially taking away greatness here. You know, this could have been, right now the story is Manel Kape's complacent. He thinks he's too good. He's too showboaty. He didn't do enough to win. He thinks he can coast on his skill set. That's the mindset that a lot of people have right now of Manel Kape, where the mindset should be, he had a debut in the UFC and it didn't go his way for clearly, in my opinion, some mental reasons, right? His decision-making, all this stuff. But the story should be, he took that loss, learned from it, had more offense in this fight, way more volume, and this could be the start of his trajectory going up. You know,
yeah.
Fucking, it pisses me off, dude. And there's fucking Chris Lee's such a terrible judge, and there's no accountability. There's zero accountability, and we talk about it all the time. And it's like, how many times do we have to get do I have to get worked up on a fight where it doesn't affect me, right? I don't know Manel Kape, I don't know Nicolau, but dude, it's so fucking frustrating in a sport where they lose half their paycheck and their career path can completely veer off the wrong direction. He's now 0-2 in the UFC, where he almost debuted in a title fight, and now he's 0-2 in the UFC. Talk about trajectories changing, and fuck, man, I don't know what's next for him now. Obviously, he's not gone or anything like that, but he's gonna hopefully get a layup opponent. But fuck, man, you lose if he loses his next fight, dude, that can destroy a fighter's career. You lose. Every fighter talks about when you're on even just a 2-fight skid, but when you're on a 3-fight skid, you're afraid that you're gonna get cut in your next fight. Who knows how you're gonna perform now with that in your mindset? And that, dude. I know it's dramatic, but dude, that could ruin someone's career. You get on a 3-fight skid or even just a 2-fight skid, and you go in there with the wrong attitude of holy shit, I'm gonna get cut if I lose this fight, and all of a sudden you lose because that's all you're thinking about, and then what? He almost debuted. He was the alternate for a title fight before he even fought in the UFC, and now this is where we are because of these fuckers who don't know what the fuck they're watching, and it pisses me off. And that's my rant. Pisses me off, man.
No, I know, man. I know.
Every media, every reporter gave it to Kape. Every single one.
This is where we need a global scoring system. Now,
it's fucking insane to me.
Follow Verdict MMA. Have you seen that before?
Yeah, I don't know I haven't looked at it for this one, but
Manel Kape was like plus 0.81 or something like that. So somewhat of a decisive win when you take a look at Verdict from the global scoring. And props to PFL because I believe PFL is now adopting Verdict scoring as well.
But I don't know is PFL going to use it as the determining factor of the fight, or are they just going to show it?
I believe they're going to show, but either way, I think that's a step in the right direction, right? Where I guess it gives the judges some type of accountability. Like they're not going to go on there and read like, hey, these judges scored against Verdict scoring, global scoring.
They should.
But I think it's a step in the right direction where they say, hey, this is how the world saw it. Yeah. Right. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm sure it has its flaws. You're going to have those Conor McGregor fans that no matter what happens, he's going to get knocked out in the second round and be like, I thought he won. Right. Yeah, it's still a better system than what we have in place right now with these boxing judges that, dude, honestly, some of the most significant strikes in the fight was that knee in the last minute. Yeah. That shot to the body. Those 2 strikes in the last minute were some of the most significant strikes for the entire fight. So I don't know how that they didn't take that into account. I will say this though, Manel Kape might be, and I haven't seen enough of his fights to say this, but just from what I've seen, a slow starter, right? You have like a Donald Cowboy Cerrone who's just a slow starter. Yeah, is that something that you've seen from Kape?
Yeah, because his fights. His strike, he's such a good counter striker, and he's so elusive, and he's so aware of the strikes coming his way that I think it's similar to someone like Mayweather. Obviously, I'm not comparing him to Mayweather as far as skill level, but where Mayweather loses pretty much the first 3 rounds of every single one of his fights because he's taking it all in, adjusting, and figuring out what he needs to be doing. And that's kind of similar to what Manel Kape does. I don't think he's taking rounds off. I think
he's pickier on his
shots. He's definitely a little bit of a slow starter. And Nicolau took advantage of that with his grappling in that first round. But then you see, did he land one more takedown in the whole fight after that first round?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I mean, you cannot throw rounds away, and I'm not saying that's what he does.
Especially when it's only 3 rounds.
It does seem like he's usually spends the first round making reads more so than anything. Which, I mean, that's you could argue that that's not the right move. But in my opinion, this fight is a perfect example up until the decision that it is a very good game plan when you're as skilled as Manel Kape, because I thought this was so obvious, and I think my stream was behind because I was like, this should be a pretty clear 29-28 for Kape or something like that. And then you're like, oh, wow. And I was like, wait, oh, wow, what? What do you mean?
I saw it. I was like, oops.
I was like, no.
Whoops. I didn't respond again until you text back after that.
Yeah. I was like, please. Once I got that and I started like looking around, I was like, wait, I'm still here. And then I see the live chat going crazy. And I was like, no. I was like, what's happening?
No.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
But man, yeah, I think it was still a good showing for Kape.
Yeah, and props to Nicolau. Very impressive to win the first round like that, and then lose the second round and open up the way he did in the third round.
Make the adjustments in the third.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fantastic fight.
You mentioned one thing that really stuck with me during your rant, which was the fact that everybody's like saying that Manel Kape should impose his will, with his skill set. And we had Alex Caceres in the interview that we did with him. By the way, if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. Story of the Fight. Where he says you want to go in there and impose your will, but you have to remember that there's also another person in that octagon that also has a will that's going to try to impose their will, and that's where you get a fight.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that was one of the things that stuck with me from that interview. And as soon as he said that, that's the very first thing that popped in my head. Right,
dude. That second round,
Alex Caceres has said that. Yeah,
yeah. That second round, Manel Kape did more than enough to get a finish in that second round. The problem is, Nicolau's pretty tough.
Yep.
He's a pretty tough fighter. That's all that is. This should not, dude. I don't know why I get so worked up on fucking people's takes on fights and stuff, but when I see all these people saying, "Oh, this guy super underwhelming. All this hype behind him. I haven't seen it yet. All this shit. The fuck didn't you see in that fight? What didn't you see in that fight?
Yeah.
Are we gonna say that? It's fucking just pissing me off, man. Pissing me off.
Nah, I feel you, man. All right. Let's move on here because I know we could talk another hour here about Manel.
Yeah.
Kape and yeah. All right. So
obviously, I'm biased on that fight too, but Jesus Christ,
just a little bit. I mean, I think he was your selection for the person to be holding the title at the end of this year, right?
Yep.
I mean, probably not gonna.
Probably doesn't happen.
But you know what? It's okay.
It can still happen. It's still March.
It's still March. That's right. And it didn't seem like he took too much damage. So
no, he ate some shots.
He might be able to hop back in there.
I don't think he's ever rocked.
So the next fight, Jonathan Martinez versus Davey Grant. So Grant had been coming off of a knockout in his previous fight.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Martinez had a nice little streak going, nice showing.
Who was looking like he was really putting everything together.
Really did. What did you think about this fight?
In the first round, Martinez was really putting everything together.
Dude, those leg kicks, man.
Yeah.
Those are some hard leg kicks.
Yeah,
from,
and this
Martinez.
I'm going to piggyback back to this fight a little bit in when we talk about the main event, but the first round, I'll be honest, I counted David Grant out of this fight going into it. Fully counted him out. I thought Martinez lately has been putting he's just been looking so good, and his we talked about striking vocabulary, right? His tool set is so big, and he's landing all these different shots, and his timing's fantastic. He's disrupting everything that they're doing. His feints are great. His footwork is fantastic. And in that first round, he was kind of doing that. I was like, okay, cool. This is basically the fourth round of his last fight. This is what we're seeing right now. It's just the same thing. And I was like, I don't think the momentum's going to change here. I think he's just going to keep. I thought the first round was indicative of the rest of the fight going into this. He was landing these great calf kicks. He was going off really, especially for a first round, right? No feeling out process for Martinez in this one. And then Grant comes in that second round and is like, that was cool. Now let me show you my offense, and just kept going. And Martinez just never got a break to disrupt him, and never did anything to stop him. And again, not on Martinez, fully on David Grant for imposing his will. And then he just swang and banged his way in. Dude, when Martinez got dropped and his head snapped back, that was so gnarly. That looked way worse than the knee that Eryk Anders landed. I was like, "Fuck, man!"
No,
I didn't see his head hit the mat at all, but brutal.
In that first round, though, Jonathan Martinez with the low leg kicks, and Grant was throwing everything with those power shots.
Yeah,
he was putting everything into the shots, leaving himself open a couple times. Yeah, they was throwing that right hook. And in that first, where Martinez caught him with a counter and dropped Grant, right? He wasn't hurt, but he dropped him.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, it looks like Martinez will be able to pick him apart here the rest of the fight. But dude, with the amount of power that he was putting into every one of those shots, all it took was just one shot. And we saw it. So I don't think this is a huge knock on Jonathan Martinez. It just shows Davey Grant is very tough.
Yeah.
And dude's got power.
And it's one of those fights where,
hands.
Yeah, if you're going in to fight David Grant, you cannot let him get rolling because you may think, oh, he's throwing all these power shots. I'm seeing them coming from a mile away. I can evade them. I can pick them apart and stuff. But you have to keep picking them apart. You have to disrupt it because eventually he'll start finding his range with those strikes. It goes for every fight, every strike, right? If you're real quick and you're straight on everything and you're not wasting any energy, and you're not even you're not throwing with power, you're just snapping everything, right? You could be, at the beginning, you're finding your range. Eventually, if you continue to be allowed to throw these strikes, eventually you will find your range. And this is kind of what happened, right? He didn't give Martinez a chance to disrupt him in that second round. And eventually he found his range. And goddamn, dude, that was a big shot. Very big shot.
That was a big shot. And you could tell right away because after Martinez fell and his body was like horizontal to where Grant was. And he did that thing with his eyes where he looks over and he has like that oh shit look on his face like he's about to just drop a hammer on me.
Yeah.
And you know at that point in time, he's telling his body, like, block, dude, move, do something. And there's nothing happening other than like slow motion, like, ah, shit. So it was over, man. It was a good stoppage. And props to Davey Grant for really showing up. Martinez going into this was one of the biggest favorites of the night. I think he was a plus 300.
Yeah, makes sense, man, because he's been looking really good.
For sure. Didn't make sense to Davey Grant. Somebody didn't tell him he was supposed to lose this fight.
I know.
Because he came out with a knockout, so props to Davey Grant, man.
I'd like to see what his leg looks like today.
Probably gnarly. Dude,
it's probably not
ankle,
great. Yeah.
Did you see the ankle?
Can't be good.
Even the camera at the end, when they're announcing the winners and they move the camera down, I was like, well, that's purple and swollen. Yeah. It's not supposed to look that way. All right, man.
That's probably black right now.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Just like Rojo's face. Because, dude, he had bruises all over it. Again, we'll post that picture. So, Dan Ige versus Gavin Tucker.
50K, baby.
Dude, I'm a big Ige fan. By the way, so yesterday, I've never done DraftKings with MMA. Yeah. I've done, like, Sportsbook is where I usually go and play some bets. The people that don't want to take your money, they take my money all the time.
Yeah.
And like I said, I had a parlay going in this and didn't finish up too well, thanks to Kape. But either way, would have lost with Martinez. But I did.
You blame Chris Lee for that.
Yeah, thanks, Chris Lee. Where you go through and you pick like 6 fighters, and based off of like takedowns, strikes, whether they win or not, whether it's a knockout, submission, like you get points based off that. So I went through and did that, won some cash doing that. So I might just try the DraftKings thing going forward. But Dan Ige on there was one of the highest scores for the night, just based off the fact that it was quick fight, knockout. Dude,
what is it, 100% striking accuracy?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. 1 for 1, baby. And no, but dude, it's one of those cases where Gavin Tucker goes in and says, "I'll eat one of yours to land one of mine." And he did, and he was like, "Oh, like that's a lot to chew."
Yeah, and props to Gavin Tucker for taking the fight on short notice, and props to Ige for allowing it and making the adjustment, because Gavin Tucker, I don't know if you've seen his fights or Ryan Hall's fights, but 2 very different fighters to game plan for. Ryan Hall, sure. It's stay the fuck away from me, and Gavin Tucker, it's let's swing and bang. So props to Ige for even taking the short notice fight also. I feel like everybody gives props to the fighter who steps in on short notice, but we need to remember that the guy who's...
Ige could very easily say, nah.
Dude, I wonder if Ryan Hall refunded him for the seminars, because he bought the Ryan Hall Jiu-Jitsu DVDs in preparation for their fight. Ige did.
Ige, no shit.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, that's probably why at the end of the fight, during his interview, he's like, I feel like I've improved not just in my striking, but on my overall game. Yeah. So thank you, Ryan Hall, for helping him improve in his jiu-jitsu game as well.
And dude, you hear about side note, but you hear Corey Sandhagen talking about how Ryan Hall, as of late, is probably the biggest influence on his growth as a fighter. And he's like, dude, that guy, he said he feels like he dumbs himself down in like interviews and podcasts and stuff like that. Even though he comes across very smart and articulate when it comes to jiu-jitsu, he's like, I think he holds back and stuff like that, because when you're training with him and you're one-on-one with him, it's like you're like taken aback by like how much he understands just everything as far as positioning and like what to do next and how what his options are, what can I do to take away those options, and just so
he's a master.
So he probably did learn some from those seminars.
He probably did. Ryan Hall, man, I just want to see him fight.
I know.
I just want to see him fight, man. It's just, how long has it been?
How long must I wait?
God, geez. All right. Well, there's not much else to cover on this. It was a quick fight. I think they said it was a 19-second knockout.
22.
It didn't seem that long.
It didn't seem like that long, but it was also because Bisping, and this is also part of why I love I'm really starting to like Fitzgerald. And DC and Bisping.
He's like, our clocks are pretty accurate. I like to think.
They're like not even listening to him. And it's like, dude, he's the play-by-play. You guys are just supposed to be bouncing off what he says.
Even Bisping was like, shut up, Fitzgerald. Like, on one of those fights, and I was just like, what is going on right now?
But they kept counting in the replay, and they're like, guys, the replay didn't start at the beginning of the fight. Why are you counting?
No,
you can see the clock behind him.
Where DC was like, 1, 2, and then Bisping's like, that's slow motion, DC. And I was just like, what is going on?
What the fuck is happening?
All right, so the next fight, Ryan Spann versus Misha Cirkunov.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Spann's a killer, dude.
Yeah, he really is. And it sucks because I feel like when someone loses to Johnny Walker, it shouldn't count as a loss. It should count as a loss, but it shouldn't drop their cred. You know what I mean? Because dude, there's shit flying all over the place, and he had him hurt, and Johnny Walker just has that crazy power and just is so wild that like you're gonna get hit with something, But
yep. So Spann in his last 10 fights has won 9 out of his last 10, man.
That's what I mean,
Spann's
right? So
real deal.
Other than that Johnny Walker fight where he was about to win before he got caught, he's looked fantastic, and it sucks because you look at some of the canceled fights on his list: Jimmy Crute, OSP, Paul Craig. These are fights that if they had happened and he won, he's in a very different place right now in his career.
Yep. Yep.
So I like his call out. He called out the winner of Jimmy Crute. Who's Jimmy Crute fighting? He's fighting. Who the hell does he have? Anthony Smith. So that's a great call out for him.
That's a very good call out.
Yeah, I think he should. I don't know, Jimmy Crute's on that trajectory right now, but Ryan Spann's legit, man. He's got crazy power too, especially the second one that dropped Cirkunov. That second one barely even got him. Barely got him.
Yep. Brushed the side of my head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still dropped him. He's got good power.
He's got good power.
Yeah.
I mean, this was another quick fight. Minute and 11 seconds into the first round. So we didn't see a lot from Misha Cirkunov either.
Mm-hmm.
But great job to Ryan Spann for doing what he had to do.
And you hear about after the fact.
Very little to no damage.
Yeah, and you hear about after the fact. This fight was scheduled originally for last year, and Cirkunov got injured, and they tried to rebook it, and Ryan Spann had to pull out, and they never talked about why, and he never said why. He said he was dealing with something, it's personal. And in the interviews after this fight, he was asked a few times, and he was like, "I'm not going to get into it." And I think the last thing he said about it was, "I just have a lot to fight for." I was like, "Fuck, man." I just want to see him do well. Seems like a good dude.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully we see him back in there very soon. Very experienced. That was his 25th fight.
Yeah.
He's done some work in the octagon, man. All right.
Yeah, he's legit, man. I like him a lot.
The next one here, man, Leon Edwards.
Moving into the main event.
Belal Muhammad. Yeah.
Remember the name.
I really like
Remember
Belal
the
Muhammad.
name.
Not creepy. But dude, I really like Belal Muhammad a lot.
Wait, what?
Belal Muhammad, I really like him a lot.
Same. Seems like a good dude.
Even outside the octagon, it just seems like somebody that's having fun.
Kind of goofy.
You see why he's goofy. I said he looks super goofy walking into the octagon. I think I texted you
that smile he does.
Glasses on that are kind of crooked. Yeah, the hoodie on, and the video he posted of how Tony Ferguson trains is hilarious. But man, he's going up against Leon Edwards. I had still picked Belal Muhammad going into this because of the 200 and something day layoff that Leon Edwards had.
Yeah.
But very quickly, you got a reminder of why Leon
how good Leon Edwards
one of the top fighters in the world.
Very good. His straight punches are fucking brutal. His 1-2.
Yep.
His 1-2 and his high kicks. God damn.
The funny thing is, I was looking for that 1-2 because when they were showing him warm up and they were using the noodles.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he had going over and over again. 1-2, right? Yeah. And then he'd slip, 1-2. And I was like, here we go. Let's see this 1-2 in the fight. And man, it was landing on Belal.
Yeah. He was punching through him, punching the back of his head.
And let me say, for all the people that are online saying, I've been poked in the eye before, not that bad, could have continued.
People making that take?
Yeah, dude, I've seen it a few times, and it's so frustrating. Dude, not only did he step into it a little bit, but we have Leon Edwards going straight at him with force.
Yeah.
And when you zoom into the picture, and you see the bottom eyelid bulging, that's Leon Edwards' finger in there. That's
pulling
making that. Oh, dude, come on!
This is all that really needs to be said about it. If anybody is saying Belal Muhammad babied it or was acting or anything like that, or isn't tough because of his reaction to it, all you have to do is watch that first round where he eats a fucking high kick and continues fighting, and his demeanor doesn't even change. He's rocked, he's wobbly, and he's still in the fight.
Yep.
Compared to how he reacted to that eye poke. If he can take that fucking head kick, his reaction to that eye poke means that it was pretty fucking bad.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'd like to see anybody who... I've had eye pokes before, and it's not that bad. I'd like to see them take that head kick and see how they react to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't have to get poked in the eye at that point.
Yeah.
Because they'd probably be out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But man, again, it just sucks. One, because this was a big opportunity for Belal. Stepped up.
First main event.
You
could tell him so much.
His opportunity to really cement himself as one of the top fighters in that division. For Leon Edwards, what people were saying apparently is that Dana had mentioned, if Leon Edwards wins this fight, he might be looking at a title shot shortly after. Mm-hmm. So this was an opportunity for both of these men to come out of this. They were both fighting for a lot, but to come out of this just
elevated.
Elevated, exactly. And now nobody gets elevated. We're at a stalemate.
Man. Leon's still calling for the title shot off of this.
Man, dude,
you got to shoot a shot.
He looked good, man.
He looked good, but
good.
And this is where I want to segue.
Distance management too.
Yeah, very good. But this is where I want to circle back to the Grant versus Martinez fight, because that first round, Martinez had all the answers and then gets knocked out in the second round. I think Leon Edwards was going to win this fight.
Yeah.
But no matter how good you look in one round, or the second round, or the third round, or the fourth round, you can still get knocked out in the fifth round. And so I don't think we should just assume, Leon was going to win that fight, let's give him the title shot. I don't think we should do that.
I mean, you saw Nicolau make adjustments in his fight coming into the third round.
Yeah, it could happen.
That saved him that fight.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what the adjustments looked like for Belal.
Yeah,
coming out of his corner, we're not going to get to see that.
Like I said, probably not going to happen. I think Leon Edwards is sharp as fucking nails, dude. Like, he is so crisp, and just like you said, his distance management is probably second to none in that division, other than Wonderboy, right? Him and Wonderboy probably have the best distance management in the welterweight division. And let's just do that fight. Wonderboy versus Leon.
Unpopular opinion. Leon Edwards would probably beat up Jorge Masvidal.
Oh, it's not even a conversation, in my opinion.
but it is overall in the MMA community because there's a bunch of people that saw that video where he walks away from Laura Sanko. Mm-hmm. By the way, we need more Laura Sanko. But anyways, that's another conversation. And he goes over there, gives him the 3-piece and a soda, as he likes to call it. So that's what a lot of fans remember. But put these two in an octagon, let them have at it where they both know exactly what to expect.
Yeah. And Leon's striking,
I think Leon...
His striking style is the striking style that beats Masvidal. Masvidal comes in with... He throws straight punches, but he throws really long hooks a lot of the times. They're not like wide looping hooks. They're pretty sharp. But Leon Edwards, that one too, stopped that hook all day.
You know,
and you're not going to bully Leon Edwards. What was that?
The last loss for Leon Edwards
was it Usman?
Kamaru Usman.
Yeah. How long ago?
That was
6 years ago.
A long time ago. Yeah, 2015. So this guy hasn't lost since 2015. I mean, granted, he hasn't fought in almost, a year plus.
Yeah.
But still.
I mean, that whole division's fucked right now, dude. That top 5 is such a shit show right now.
It is. So, are we done with this fight? Because this actually takes me into my Will's Wisdom.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, Will's Wisdom. Here we go. You ready? All right. So, should there be a requirement for ranked fighters to fight a specific amount of times in a year's period to keep their ranking? The reason I ask this is because after the fight yesterday, they show the ranking for the welterweight division, and I just thought to myself, like you said, this is such a clusterfuck with Jorge Masvidal not wanting to fight unless he gets this fight. Wonderboy out there posting with the nicest calls in history to everybody out there.
Yeah,
hey,
please.
Who's your fight? Please, thank you, and have a nice day. But like everybody in that division, Leon Edwards hadn't fought forever where he could have, but he refused to fight this person, Finally, they're like, your rankings are gone. He's like, actually, I don't mind fighting Khamzat Chimaev. So, should there be a requirement for the amount of times a fighter fights in a year to keep the ranking?
I don't think so, because in this sport, there's so many batshit crazy things that happen. Like, there was a fight that was canceled last night because someone got arrested. Khamzat was supposed to fight, got COVID, and was coughing up blood in the sink, retired. He got pressured by a mob boss to continue fighting. But so there's so much stuff that happens behind the scenes, and we don't know the politics of matchmaking and stuff like that. You hear it from one fighter's side, and it's completely different from the other fighter. And Dana's like, we never even offered that fight. And so it's like, I think there's too many variables and unknown behind the scenes. And then on top of that, normally what happens if you're sitting out, the division keeps moving and you get passed by. The problem with this division, though, is everybody's playing that politics game in that top 5 right now.
Everybody.
And that's why it's happening. Normally, it doesn't happen like this. You sit out, you get passed by. Eventually, people who are continuing to fight are going to pass you up. And I think that's how it should work, right? But yeah, I don't know.
I take a look at like a Gilbert Burns, for example, and lately he's been tweeting out to different people like, hey, let's do this. Hey, this fight sounds fun. Let's do it. June, maybe? Who's down? So like I think about fighters like Gilbert Burns that wants to have the division continue moving. But then again, you run into the Jorge Masvidals, the Colby Covingtons, Leon Edwards to a certain extent.
I think part of it too that we should bring up too, though, is the fact that for a long time now they've been trying to organize a return of the Ultimate Fighter with Colby and Masvidal as coaches. So they're probably really not even offering them fights because they're trying to get that done. Because why would they offer them fights if they're trying to have them coach on a season and fight at the end of it? So that takes 2 of the top guys out of the division, or out of the top 5.
Hey, for real though, how fun would that be?
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
That I haven't watched Tough in a while. I'll tune into that one.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be a shit show.
I think we'll get another classic, like Can't Let You Get Close to Me. Chael Sonnen and Vanderlei Silva. Dude, but also one of the best moments on Tough ever.
Yeah, Masvidal versus Colby stylistically is a fantastic fight. It's a great fight. I'd love to see it. Let's get Wonderboy a title shot, and then Leon Edwards can go put boxing gloves on and never poke someone in the eye again.
So, on that note, last night's nasty Eyepoke is a reminder that there is a problem. It happens way too often. I think back to like even Stipe versus DC. It happens way too often. What's the solution, Will? Right now, break it down for us on Story of the Fight. What's the solution to these eye poke issues?
Dude, the solution is new gloves. And the UFC has said like 8 years ago, they were like, we're working on something. It's going to eliminate eye pokes. And I think it was the negotiations with Trevor Whitman with his gloves.
Mm-hmm.
But the UFC gloves suck. They're by far, out of every organization that's out there, they're the worst gloves. They're terrible.
Yeah, I think I heard Trevor Whitman talking about it on Rogan, where he said that they were really close, but UFC wanted to own.
Yeah, they want to own the IP.
Wanted to own everything.
They want to own the IP.
So,
which it's like, dude, you guys have so much fucking money. Just make it happen. You know?
Yep.
Like, this just keeps happening. At what point do they realize, hey, I mean, you remember Yair Rodriguez versus Jeremy Stevens? It was like all this bad blood and it's about to happen. Eye poke, fight's over, first round. Like, what the fuck? You think that would be enough of a wake-up call for them to just be like, you know what? We're going to bite the bullet. We're a fucking billion-dollar company at this point. Like, let's just do these new gloves. Because the UFC gloves, they're designed almost for grapplers more so than for strikers. So when you're in the glove and you go like a limp hand, it's pulling your hand open. You have to force it to make a fist. You have to pull it down and squeeze it. Whereas something like a pride glove. You see, even with this plastic, it's already starting to kind of curve, you know?
Yeah.
And when it's on your hand, it already curves your hand like this. It's not like this, but it's like this, which ultimately you can still grapple. You can open your hand if you want to. But that's the move, right? You have new gloves. They also have drawstrings. You know, much better. Not just the wristband, because it pulls it into you, so that you don't have to force it to close. Dude, people talk about just wearing the UFC gloves. Your hands get sore just wearing them because you're constantly having to pull your fingers in. That's the solution. Trevor Whitman. If you haven't watched the Trevor Whitman on Joe Rogan podcast where they go over his gloves, and even just the foam that's inside it, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The foam itself is insane. They use the shittiest material ever for the UFC gloves. It's like, just fucking bite the bullet. Your sport will be better because of it. What are we waiting for?
And that's what I'm thinking. It's for the betterment of the sport.
Yeah.
Right? Like, at what point do these egos get set aside and say, well, we got to own everything?
Yeah.
We bought out, this, we bought out that. We have to own everything and just say, well, this is for the betterment of the sport. We're going to have less fights like this main event that's over in the first round. We don't get to see a finish on it. A lot of what ifs left over because
a lot of fans disappointed.
Absolutely. Hey, so I think about Richie Casual. Did you watch any fights last night?
None. No UFC fights. I was in a fight event of my own.
What fight event? Like, are we talking?
Hey man, we had commentary. Like we had a 8-man bracket. We're going to the finish. Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros.
All right, well, not the fight I was thinking, but I think about like a Richie Casual, for example, that's watching fighting. And let's say I pull Richie Casual and call him over and say, hey, let's watch these fights, man, this main event. You got Leon Edwards. He's had a long hiatus against an up-and-coming fighter, Belal Muhammad. This should be a lot of fun. Both of them are extremely high energy. First round, eye poke, done.
I know.
Do you think Richie Casual going forward is going to say, hey, let me watch the next one?
I know.
Let me see who gets
whack.
Let me see who gets kneed illegally next time. Or let me see who gets eye poked again next time. Like,
especially,
it's gonna.
Yeah, especially when it happens in the main event like this, and then people are so focused on main event of the card instead of the whole card. It's like a lot of people don't even watch the prelims. They just jump in towards the main fight, and all they're waiting for is that main event. Everything else is just kind of like a bonus. And it's like, then you build up all the way to it, and then this happens, and you're like,
very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
All right. Last one, not as serious, but have you seen the PFL's ref cam?
No, I haven't.
No? Okay, well then we can't answer this one because I was going to say, should UFC adopt the PFL ref cam?
I have seen the Pride and the Ryzen ref cams.
Okay, so it's like a little camera. They wear it right here on the side, right? Should the UFC adopt this?
Yes.
Yes. So you like the ref cam?
100%. If only for it. I don't think we even need to cut to it during the fight. If only for the finishes.
Yep.
It makes the finishes, because we're watching it as a sport, right? And that's great and it's awesome. And we see the finish, it's great. When you cut to the ref cam in Pride and someone gets dropped and the corners, the ref's in the corner on the far side, and he like runs over there and like dives in, dude, that is a level of intensity that you can only get with that camera.
Yeah.
So if only for the replay of knockouts and finishes of the ref running over and stopping the fight, that alone is worth it. I don't need it to be a part of the live feed or like ever cut to the ref camera during the fight. But for finishes, shit's awesome.
By the way, I think it was Chris Taglioni against Mitt, where Mitt got dropped. Mm-hmm. And he jumps on top of him and he goes, no. And he said no. I don't know how many times, and I felt like he was getting scolded by his dad at that point. I know. It was so funny. But man, that's all I got for Will's Wisdom.
Nice.
Do you have anything else for this week?
Not for this week. Next
I know
week.
We got some fights coming up next week, right?
We got our boy Kevin Holland main eventing.
A real fight this time. Sanctioned fight. Allegedly. But dude, allegedly. Gregor
Gillespie versus Brad Riddell as the co-main.
Is this going to be the first fight Gillespie has since his gnarly knockout? Mm-hmm. So he's taking some time.
And he always kind of does in between fights. And I really like Brad Riddell. He'd rather be fishing. This is a very hard fight for Riddell.
Oh, you're buying Taito Ivasa.
Yeah, Bam. Max Griffin's fighting.
I hope Taito Ivasa gets another win, because whenever he wins, he goes hard that following night, and it's always gold the next day, man.
I know.
Always fucking gold the next day.
Adrian Yanez is fighting too. I like him a lot. Trevin Giles, I'm a fan of. Leonardo Santos, Grant Dawson. Yeah, it's a good card. I really like it. It's a fun one.
Nice.
I'm excited.
So there's a lot of good fights coming up this next week. That main card, the main event, should be a banger for sure, man.
Yeah,
they've been talking a lot of trash going back and forth.
On top of that, on what is it? Is it March 20th? Yeah. Let's see. I think on March 20th, we got March 21st. Ryzen is coming back.
Ooh.
And that's exciting.
March 21st, Ryzen. We also have one championship that's going to be having an event here pretty soon as well. And I think that's going to be Mighty Mouse is on that card. Eddie Alvarez is on that card. So there's a lot of good fights coming up. For anybody listening right now, if you like this week's content, check out last week's where we also covered UFC 259, Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. We also had, I think we mentioned earlier, an interview with Alex Caceres, which hands down, man, you listen to this guy talk and you're just in awe with how cerebral and wise Alex Caceres is, man. Still think about some of the stuff that he says, not just in like fighting, like when I'm watching fights, but just like in everyday life. I know, this guy is legit, man.
And then also,
I freaking love it.
Both sides of the coin, right? He's got that, and then also hilarious and like super charismatic. Awesome. So it's like,
dude, when he starts talking about the fights in Miami, he's talking about like waiting for chocolate and instead like something cash.
Shorty Cash. Like, both those fights, by the way, are on YouTube. You can watch both those fights.
Dude, just fantastic guy. So again, if you haven't listened to that, go listen to it. You won't regret it. And that's all I got for this week.
Yeah, that's all I got for this week too. Oh, all right, what about the shirts?
Yes. Got to announce the winners. So we have a local guy over here in Texas, JV, who won a Story of the Fight shirt. So congratulations, JV. Be in communication with him via Instagram. And then we also have Jake Medlin over from California, I believe.
That's Jake the Snake.
Yeah, Jake the Snake, who's going to be getting a shirt. He opted in for one of the new Pride shirts that we're going to be ordering here pretty soon, which is a Story of the Fight theme, of course, but with like Pride type lettering. So that should be pretty exciting once we get that
longer than I care to admit to make that shirt.
But difficult. It's going to be worth it. Once it gets in, you're going to see it. Well, it's going to be worth it. So that's all I got this week. Will, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this week's Story of the Fight.